Quick. Kevin Kilcoin says, why the red herring about whether emails were classified or not? Simply moving them off the official system is enough, and setting up their own server is prima facie evidence of their intent. I know I read that earlier. I'm just going to answer the specific questions now. We know why the red herring was placed by the people that are trying to cause the diversion. We know full well why the Clintons wanted to make this about whether or not these were secret documents, because by doing so, that's a fallback position. In other words, if she claimed that her defense was, no, we didn't have any emails on the server, that was her first defense. No, we didn't have any. Well, that's proven false. Well, it's not really about whether we had emails on the server. It's about whether or not there was any classified information done, whether or not we did any harm. And when that defense failed, now we found classified information. Then you fall back to the, well, it may be classified information, but it wasn't marked classified at the time I read it. And they just keep walking back and standing there, and not standing their ground. They're falling back to prepared defensive positions. And we, like idiots, all the Republicans, like morons, simply walk right into that kill box that I talk about all the time. They simply walk across the no man's land, and they walk through the artillery barrage, and then they go through the barbed wire, and then they take their machine gun hits, and then the hand grenades. And by the time the assault is over, every single one of us is dead on the ground, and they are up there laughing their butts off. Because we're so stupid that we simply agree to their language, to their rules, to their goalposts. We just agree. I am going to do a next firewall on this phenomenon, because the first one's just about Hillary and Comey and all that. But the next one is going to be about the psychology of not only Republican legislators, but of many Republicans, in fact, for the American people. David Horowitz used a term that I like very much that I want to use. He said that virtually everybody in Congress, virtually every Republican in Congress, wants to be what he called a gold star Republican. In other words, they want to be seen by the Democrats, which means by the media, which means by the country. See, this is the lever. By the Democrats, which means by the media, which means by the country. I got to do that one more time, too. I'm sorry, I just don't want to lose any of this stuff because I have a bad habit of doing that. Okay, so what these people want to be, like McCain, for example, is they want to be seen as mavericks. McCain is our kind of Republican. Why is I'm talking about back in 2006, 7, that kind of thing. Okay, why is McCain beloved by the press? McCain is beloved by the press because McCain is willing to contradict and argue with Republicans. He's willing to argue with Republicans. He's willing to make their case for them from inside. I'm not saying McCain is a spy or anything. I'm just saying McCain loved the stroke of being like, I'm the only good Republican in the country. I'm the only Republican they want to have on the Tonight Show. I'm the only Republican that wants to do all of this stuff, So, boom. But they don't like John McCain. And the thing that David has pointed out, because he used to be one of them, I was never one of these people. When I say I was more liberal, I just simply meant I was swimming in the stream with everybody else in the pond. But I wasn't leading other fish downstream, and I wasn't even poking around downstream. I was just floating there. I didn't care. I was just floating. But David Horowitz was one of these people. He was one of these people that started this whole thing. And he has said, you do not understand. We refuse to understand what kind of people we're dealing with here. And he ought to know, because he was one of them. We're dealing with Bill Ayers is here. We're dealing with people that are ready to plant bombs to get their political views enforced. Decent, honorable people like us can't get our heads around this. We can't. We think there's a confusion. We think, well, maybe they misunderstood us. We think that maybe if we're nice to them, maybe I know. See, they've been calling us racists all this time. The press has. I have a great idea, says the conservative mindset. I have a great idea. How about in 2012, we agree that all 4 debates are going to be hosted by liberals. See how honest we are? How would we do that if we were racist? If we were racist, we wouldn't do that. See, we're not the bad people you made us out to be. We're not racist. By all means, have all 4 debates hosted by liberal hosts. Well, Candy Crowley cost us the election, in my opinion. So the question is, did that get us anything? By allowing 4 liberal hosts of the 4 debates, 3 presidential, 1 vice presidential, did that change the way the Republicans were covered? Did the news media say, you know what, we thought they used to be racist, but we have to admit this is very decent of them? No. No, they laugh at it. They think it's funny because they're evil. I know that sounds a powerful word to use, but I don't know what else to call it. I'm not talking about the bulk of the country. The bulk of the country is actually quite virtuous. I talked to somebody a week ago who turned out to be a big Hillary supporter, and I said, she may be in jail next week. And she said, what about it? I said, about the emails. And she goes, no, she's been cleared about all this. This was weeks ago, 2 weeks ago probably. They think she's been cleared about all this. You know why they think that? They think that because if she hadn't been cleared about it, they would be looking at her in jail, and we'd be reading about her being guilty in the New York Times. And we don't read about her being guilty in the New York Times, therefore she's not guilty.